Alright guys, so today we are putting the old Mac Studio finally to the test to figure out if I'm going to keep it or not, because I've been using it the past close to a week now, probably, maybe even just over a week. And it's good, and I want to love it. I want to love it. But it's hard for me to decide or decipher in my own head if it's here in Canada with taxes like $3,000 worth of better than my Mac 1 Pro, my M1 MacBook Pro, in regards to like the apps, because you know, I'm really curious, and it seems no matter what, you know, if it's going to save me a minute on certain things, is a minute worth $3,000, right? Or an additional, let's say, $2,000, because maybe I'll just replace this with a Mac Mini or something like that. So I'm gonna throw at it today some pretty I don't want to say hard stuff, but hard things, well, consistent things that I use pretty much when I'm doing YouTube videos all the time, and that is things like footage from the Sony ZV-1, which we're shooting with right here. And I actually shot a 1-minute clip, which is walking around, just nothing fancy, right? And a 5-minute clip. And I'm going to run those two clips through Catalyst Browse. Again, we're going to run it from the same card, the 1 minute and the 5-minute. And the reason I did a 5-minute is because I want to see if the speed increases or decreases, decreases or increases. It's hard, right? Based on time. Does the chip heat up? Does it slow down as it gets, you know, as it's processing longer, right? So we're going to do that on the Studio, and we're going to do that on the M1 MacBook Pro. So 1 and 5. We got some Insta360 footage. So again, a short piece of footage and a longer piece of footage. And then we're going to put those into Final Cut, which is what I edit with. And we're going to take the non-stabilized, for one, Sony ZV-1 footage, and we're going to stabilize it, the 1-minute clip. We're going to stabilize it, I think, maybe the 5 as well, in Final Cut to see how long that takes on both machines. And last but not least, we're going to do an export. So we're going to do these all to the internal drive. So everything is going to be writing to that device's internal drive. And we're going to be pulling it again from the same SD card. So there's no, you know, one card's faster than the other. So let's see if this thing's worth it. Okay, so I'm trying to get that sun out of there. I've got the card for the Sony ZV-1, this one here that I shot. I'm just gonna pop this in here. Nope, that's not right, because I want to use the same card reader as well. So we're gonna pop this actually in here so that we can use the same card reader on both computers. So let's see if this pops up. I think, was it this one? Let's bring up Catalyst Browse here, and we're gonna bring up the 1-minute clip first, okay? So let's just bring this over here to this display, and we're gonna bring up, I think it's Untitled here. Yeah, maybe. Yeah. So here's the 1-minute clip right there. So we are going to Tools, Stabilize. Yep. And we're going to do a quick analyze. If it's over 90, which it is, so we're going to set it at 90. This way we'll make sure both machines do the same. I'm going to bring up my watch here, clock. Open that. Okay, stopwatch, reset. Okay, and so I'll analyze. We're going to bring it to the desktop, which is good. We'll actually put it in a Sony folder. Okay, export there. Yes, and 1, 2, 3. Now this again is the 1-minute clip from the ZV-1. All right. Okay, and start. It's off. All right, we'll be back once this finishes, and then we'll do the 5-minute clip. Actually, we'll just be back when the 5 minutes, so that we can see how they compare. All right, I'll be right back. Okay, so the 1-minute clip took 4 minutes and 7 seconds, and that's on the Mac Studio. So that's the M1 Max 24 core. So that's okay. That's all right. We don't mind that time. Well, that's our base, right? So now what we're gonna do is we're gonna come back in here again. Same idea, but this time we're taking this clip here, which is a 5-minute clip. So we're gonna analyze this. And again, this is a 5-minute clip of me just walking around, so it's pretty much in vlog mode, right? What would a lot of people possibly be using this for? And 90, yeah, so we're going to go back to 90 for sure. We're going to come back in here to the Sony folder. Yeah, oh good. Same one. Let's just bring this back up here. Reset this. Ready? 3, 2, 1, go. And we're off. So we'll see how this does. All right, so we're coming up to the end. We're at right now 19.5 minutes. With about 40 seconds left, but I want you guys to take a look at this, right? So all the CPU cores are kind of maxed out, which is great. GPU cores aren't really doing anything. So, you know, if you had more GPU cores, would it help? No, I don't think so at all. As well as if you click on here and look at the temperature, it started off around 50 degrees and it's at 54 right now. So, you know, it's not getting hot by any means. And I just want to make sure we get this completed time in there. So we are at about 20 minutes and 7 seconds. 20 minutes and 7 seconds right there. Okay, let's try it. Let's try it on the MacBook. All right, so we got the card put in, same thing, into the little hub in the back here, and we got Catalyst Browse up and running with the 1-minute file. So I guess I took my phone away, so gotta put my phone back up here, and we'll bring up the stopwatch and get it all ready for you fine folks right there. And we will set it 90% again, get ready to export. Actually, before I do that, make sure it's desktop, which it is. And let's see, actually, we should be able to put it in that, we'll put it in that Sony file. Awesome. And export, there's the clip, hit OK, and 1-minute clip. What are we doing for time? Ready, and go. It's off. We'll be back. Alright, so the 1-minute clip is almost done here. You guys can see we're at 40 seconds. But what I wanted you to take a look at is up here. Like the CPU is pretty much maxed out on this one, whereas on the Studio we were hitting like 50-60%. So this one's utilizing everything it's got. If you look at GPUs, even the GPUs, 40-50%, like they're not even getting used that much with Catalyst Browse. And if we go to temperatures, definitely running warmer, right? The other one was about 53-54 degrees, whereas this one we're pushing 75-ish. And this just finished, so we're gonna say, I missed the stopwatch a little bit, we're gonna stay somewhere around 6 minutes and 50 seconds because I just missed it. So 6:50. Okay, but now let's do the longer one. So we're gonna come back in here real fast and do the 5-minute clip, because I think that's usually, you know, what you're kind of working with. So here's our 5-minute clip right here, and same idea, we're gonna get that to stabilize, and once again we're gonna set this at, make sure it's at that 90%. Make sure my stopwatch is all set here. Get back to 0, auto, click, still into that Sony browser, Sony folder, export here, there it is, 3, 2, 1, go. So it starts off, I think it's just kind of figuring out what it's doing up here, and then it just once it actually starts kind of rendering, they pop right up the cores. GPU again, no, but the CPU's right up there, and again you can start to see that heat up. Now we are going to be letting this just run, and I'm expecting this to come in closer to 40 minutes to an hour. All right, we'll be back. All right, so this the 5-minute clip is almost done, and currently we are sitting at just over 32 minutes, but it has another 2 minutes, so we're probably going to come in around that 35-minute mark. And if you do watch the CPU and all this kind of stuff, we are sitting at about 78 degrees on an average for all the sensors, but the performance cores are up at about 90, so they are definitely running a lot hotter than the M1 Max did. And you can expect that because of the fact that it's all in such a smaller body and not as much heat dissipation. But the fans still aren't going, so I guess that's okay. Everything else though, we're running at about CPU about 99%. They're right up at the top. Again, memory though 65%. So even with 16 gigs of RAM doing just this, it's fine. And we're just coming down to the very end just to see that final time. We're at about 25 seconds, so just kind of get everything ready. And my guess is we're going to come in right at that 34-minute mark. So that's a big increase with the M1 Max. I think we were about 20 minutes versus 34. So we'll see what this finishes at. Yeah, that's pretty much as close as you're gonna get to 34 minutes. So 20 minutes to 34 minutes. That's a 14-minute change. So that's actually a fair bit. All right, so let's get Insta360 ready, and we'll start that. All right, guys. So now we are going to try Insta360 footage, and I just have it in a card reader with the card that came from Insta360. So we're going to stick that again. So we use the exact same card reader. That's going in there because that's important. Make sure we keep everything, you know, on board with everything else. And I think let's bring up. So let's take a look, and we're going to grab. We'll just grab one like really long clip so that you kind of get an idea. And then we can just figure out the time difference, right? Because sometimes you shoot more, sometimes you shoot less. So if we look at them here, there's a 6-minute right there. Well, let's do this. It gets us maybe close. So let's do the 6:30. So there's a 6:30 right here. So basically what we're going to do with the 6:30 is we're going to do a direction lock. That's kind of it. Okay, nothing else. And then we're going to do a 360 video at full bit rate. We'll do it H.264 and we'll do a remove grain. We're going to add that to Q, so that's 6.5. Now I wonder if we come back here and find something that's about 3.5-ish. Gives us close, right? Gives us a close estimate. Anything that's 3.5-ish. That'll take us a little. Well, this will take a little over, so that'll take us about 10.5. Okay, so because that's just under 4 minutes. So we'll be shooting at about 10.5 minutes in total. So we'll do the same thing here. Direction lock, excellent. And then the only other thing here is we'll just bring these right back up. Again, remove grain. Add that to Q. So we got our 2 videos in here. And these, actually, let's just see. I think I put them in the wrong spot. So what I'm going to do is just change those so I have them going to the desktop. Okay, and then we'll try that again. Hold on one second. Okay, we're good. All good. Going to the desktop into a folder called 360, so it's nice even for everybody. And we got a just over 6-minute clip. And a just under 4-minute clip. Okay, so we're going to reset my clock here. And ready? 3, 2, 1, go. All right. I'll be back once this goes. Now, before you guys leave, let's just look up here and see the same thing. Like the CPU on this one, it's not even doing much. So I don't see if there's going to be much of a difference running 360 footage. Even the GPU really only sitting about 50% usage. Now there's a lot of cores, so I'm curious to see if there's a big time gap here. All right, so we are coming up on the 20-minute mark at 96%. And as you can still see, right, the CPU is kind of hanging in around that 50 to 75% usage. And then I say GPU, probably, it's hard to tell, right? And then you come in here and look at this. First off, temperature, 53 degrees. It's not working hard. It's not getting any heat at all. CPU-wise, if we come in here, you can see that during this time frame, you know, like, what are we doing at here? We're doing between 50 and 60% usage. If we look at the memory, right, under 75%. Processor, 50. The odd spike over 50 where you get maybe 60, you know. And we are coming up on the end here. We should get a ding. Ready? And 20 minutes, 51 seconds. And that's to do probably about 10.5 minutes of Insta360 footage. So actually, performance-wise, very similar, the Insta360 footage, to the Catalyst Browse software with the Sony ZV-1 footage. Let's try it on the MacBook Pro. All right, so we got both of the two Insta360 clips loaded in there. That one that's, you know, just over 6 minutes, and one that's just under 4 minutes, with the exact same settings, going to the desktop of the MacBook Pro. And we're simply going to run those to see what our time is like. So we'll make sure our stopwatch is set at 0, which it is. All right, so we're just going to start this up. 3, 2, 1, and go. And they're off, and we'll be back. We're going to, of course, take a look at how that CPU and GPU does just before it finishes. But you can already see right now that even the CPU is starting to fill up. Not at 100%, but we're up close to 80. We'll see if that changes throughout the process. All right, so we are coming up on the end. We are currently at 97%, sitting at 26 minutes. And just so you guys can see, the CPU is sitting, it sits in around 80%, so it never really gets much higher than that, 80, 82. You can see memory here sitting at about 66, 67%. And temperature-wise, about the same thing as before, right? Somewhere in and around that 78 to 80%. So it's not even really, well, it's hitting the max, I guess, of the machine, but it's doing fairly well. But you can definitely see the time difference, right? Because we're up at, this just finished. So 27 minutes and 15 seconds. So again, we got a bit of a difference. We're about 20 minutes with the max, 27 minutes here. All right, let's get Final Cut open. All right, guys, so we now have some footage actually installed into Final Cut. So we have the Sony ZV-1 pre-ran through Catalyst Browse, which we're going to stabilize using Final Cut Stabilizer, which is what we're going to do right now. But we also have that 360 footage brought in, and we have the stabilized Catalyst Browse footage brought in. And we are going to follow up with some export tests. So first off, we're going to run this guy right here. This is, you can see that, it's that 1 minute clip. Okay, we're going to click on it, and we're simply going to come in here, and we're going to hit the stabilize. So what I'm going to do is bring up my timer again. Ready? And 3, 2, 1, click. And this has now started its dominant motion. Actually, it's chugging through pretty fast. CPU cores are right up there, for sure. Again, the GPU cores aren't really doing a whole lot. Between 29 and 30 seconds, as you guys can see here. 29 and 30 seconds. So that's to stabilize that footage. All right, that's decent, I guess, right? So now what we're going to do is put this other stabilized version in there. We're going to put the long 5 minute clip in there. And we're going to drop 2 Insta360 clips on there. Plus, I'm going to highlight this all. Okay, so it's all highlighted. And for fun's sake, we will just put some kind of effect on it. Let's just see here. So we'll go here and do an effect, just so it has something. Stylize, nope, let's go in here, figure out what I'm doing. Color. We'll just put broadcast safe on there, right? So it has to just figure everything out. That's on there now. I'm gonna let this just render. Okay, so now we're gonna do the export. Okay, so we've got all those clips. We're coming in at 17.5 minutes, as you guys can see here on the screen. 17, 29, 23 frames. So we're gonna see how long this takes to export out to the drive. All right, so here we're gonna put it out to, I always just put it out to Apple device 4K. That's what I'm gonna put it as. And click. Should be good there. And save. All right, we'll be right back. All right, so we're coming up on the end of this. We're at the 80% mark right now. Usually this is where it starts to write. So we're at about just over 8 minutes. But again, you know, the CPU really hasn't done much at all. So I'm like, how much faster can it be? It's on the MacBook, right? Or slower can it be on the MacBook? The GPU though, definitely sitting in that, you know, 50%-ish range. So if you kind of come in here and look right again, your processor, she's been sitting pretty low, right? Memory again, she occasionally spikes, but not very often. You know, this is, so I don't know. I don't know how much faster or slower the two will be. I'm actually quite curious on this one. So coming in around 9 minutes right now, and we'll touch base in a second. All right, so 11 minutes 34 seconds for that 17.5 minute clip. All right, MacBook time. All right, so we got the first Sony clip sitting here in the timeline, the 1 minute clip. And just like on the studio, we're gonna just make sure it's highlighted. Click the stabilize button, because we need to make sure to see how fast that stabilizing takes. So we will go 3, 2, 1, click. This is started. Let's just bring this up. We'll get an idea of how long this takes. Shouldn't be that long. All right, and that finished in 52, between 52 and 53 seconds. So again, it's taken longer, to be expected. Last one we're going to do here then is we're going to drag everything into the timeline. Put it all in here. Again, we should have that 17, 29, 23. We're at the same time, which is good. We will make sure that we have everything selected, and again go into our broadcast safe and just put that on there so it's all there. And then we're going to wait for this just to render, and then we'll do a final export test to see how long this takes. Alright, so we've got the files all rendered on the MacBook. And just so you guys know, as kind of as a side note, the render file or the render process on the MacBook Pro significantly longer than the Mac Studio. So if you are doing a lot of rendering, that may play a big role in it as well. I didn't time it, but I definitely was twiddling my thumbs a lot right here. Alright, so we've got that clip, 17.5 minutes. We're going to get ready to share this, and as always we share it as a 4K just Apple device. Test file, yep, good. Next. Desktop, very good. And we'll bring up my stopwatch, and 3, 2, 1, it's off. So now we'll come back again. Before we go, you will see right during the actual export phase, definitely has some GPU usage, but CPU doesn't play a big role during it, right? We're only looking at CPU at right now it's 17%, so it's not getting used much at all. So my guess is the GPU could have some stuff. Memory again sitting up pretty much where it's been the whole time. And right now, even the actual CPU cores, which makes sense, are just sitting at about 50 degrees. So, all right, we'll be back once this finishes. All right, so we are sitting at about the 84% mark, coming in at 17 minutes. And we are looking at the CPU. You know, it's kind of fluctuates in and around that 50-ish%. I find like all processing, once you get past that 80%, she starts to drive down. She gets lower because I believe at that point she's starting to write the file to the drive. But temperature-wise, sitting at 58 degrees, so it's not getting hot by any means. The fans, you don't even hear them. We've never heard them actually start up. So even with all this, which has been going on for a couple hours now, the fans are pretty much dormant, right? So that's really good. But let's get a final time. All right, guys, we just finished, and that came in at almost 22.5 minutes, so 22:26. And again, we're doing a 17.5-minute export, so this actually was longer than real time. So that may play a big role in what you guys are doing too. So if you are looking at, you know, exporting an hour-long clip, then the time difference is going to be even more. All right, so let's put these numbers together and get a final thoughts on, you know, bang per dollar, bang per buck. You know, is it worth it? All right, guys, so I've done all the setting up of the times just so we can kind of see what the process is. So first off, starting with Catalyst Browse with the small, just 1 minute clip. So we're definitely seeing about a 40% increase. So we went from 4 minutes and 7 seconds to 6 minutes and 50 seconds on the MacBook Pro. So yeah, 40%. So if you're someone that uses Catalyst Browse, especially for small clips, that could be a nice additional benefit of going to that. Catalyst Browse, when we ran the 5 minute clip, of course, we gained a little bit, not much, 41% performance increase. So hovering in at that 40. But for those of us that do use, again, Catalyst Browse a lot, again, I'm on a ZV-1 right here. I have a ZV-E10 downstairs. And whenever I do vlogging stuff with them, Catalyst Browse is something I use a lot. So 40% can be a fair bit of time, right? If you're looking at something that normally takes 10 minutes down to, let's say, 6 minutes, right? So that's a big increase. When we looked here, we saved like 14 minutes. 14 whole minutes on that 5 minute clip. That's you know, if you got 5 or 6 clips, that's over an hour. So that could be hugely beneficial. Now, I use Insta360 cameras a lot for my stuff, especially out motorcycle riding. And this was a basically a 10 to 11 minute clip when you look at the two of them together. But I would have no, I would say, problems, or I could easily be rendering out, you know, an hour to 2 hours worth of Insta360 footage, because I usually shoot with 2 of them, sometimes 3 of them. So when you're looking at a 23% increase, not as big an increase as we had with Catalyst Browse, but 23%, still, we're looking at, with that 10-minute clip, about a 7-minute change between the two. And that's just with 10 minutes. So if I have an hour and you times that by 7 minutes, you know, that could be another hour's worth of savings. Useful? Yeah, I would think so. Definitely not as much, 23%. Now, the nice thing again with something like Insta360 is that you can queue it up. So I could have, you know, 5 clips all queued up, just hit the go button and walk away and do something else. With Catalyst Browse, because you can only do 1 clip at a time, that speed becomes a really big benefit, because of the fact that, you know, I don't necessarily want to leave. I want to stay there and make sure I know when it's going to finish, right? So Final Cut Pro, again, you're looking at, this is kind of where we had the biggest increase, 43%, but we are sitting in that 40% range, right? You know, that 1 minute stabilization, 30 seconds versus 53 seconds, big difference. But again, if you are stabilizing a lot of footage and long pieces of footage, this could be definitely beneficial. And last was the export, and this one actually surprised me because we didn't see a lot of CPU work or GPU work really in iStat, which is that system that we're using for monitoring. 48% increase, so we went from 11.5 minutes to 22.5 minutes. That's big. So if you are someone that does a lot of exporting, now that could be part and parcel to the processor and GPU, but it could also be with the fact of how fast the Mac Studio's hard drive is, right? So that's going to play a little bit in there as well. But 48%, so we saved almost half the time. That's a big one. So the question really is am I going to keep it? And if this was any other time of the year, I'd probably say 100% for sure. But I think with the Mac Mini M2 or M2 Pro coming out, I kind of think I may return this so that I can test the Mac Mini Pro, if there is such a thing, or even the Mac Mini M2 when it comes out. And then I can look at these numbers, put it up against what the Mac Mini M2 may do, and then really get an idea if I want to spend the money, because really we have no idea what the price point of that machine is going to be or the performance of it. So I want to see, again, bang for buck. All right, guys, hopefully this gives you some information if you are a person that runs any of these 3 pieces of software. And that's it. What do you think? Worth it? Not worth it? Should I keep it? Should I send it back? Get the M2? Test? I think I'll go that way. All right, guys, that's it for today. Like, comment, share, subscribe, hit that notification bell, and we'll see you guys next video. Later.